Hello, my name is Benjamin Billings, and today we're taking a deep dive 56 years in the past where Martin Luther King shaped the future for black rights. Looking into what would have happened if Martin Luther King was never born, never made it to the march, looking at alternate futures and realities. Have you ever heard of the man Martin Luther King and his speech, I Have a Dream?
Yes.
This is without any context, so we'll come back to this one. What would you imagine the world to look like in an alternate reality where Martin Luther King was never born?
I think the universe would replace him somehow. Someone would do what he did.
How do you feel the speech changed things? What impact do you think it had on the world?
I don't think it was really the speech that had an impact on the world. I think the speech had an impact on the individual.
What do you remember about a speech? Like, what's your already existing knowledge on the subject at hand?
It was a very powerful speech that not only brought together his community, but communities all over the world, regardless of their race, age or gender.
Martin Luther King, although very well recognised and well known, not everyone actually knows how big of an impact he had. He was arrested for protesting the same year he delivered the speech, and after JFK was assassinated, legislation started getting signed every year giving black people the right to vote, stopping discrimination in housing, and all this started to pick up almost immediately after MLK delivered his speech. This is the question we're jumping back to. If you were living in an alternate reality where Martin Luther King was never born, what do you think the world would look like?
Racism still exists today in very, very small, unique minorities. If he wasn't born, I think it would probably look somewhat similar. Someone else would have stepped up to that role, as I said last time.
Where do you think Martin Luther King stands inside a historic viewpoint? Like, do you think this made more of an impact than the Civil War that happened back in 1864?
The Civil War happened to end slavery entirely. I don't know. I think they're both equal significance. I think with one without the other, they may not have happened. I think they're both equally as important as each other. It's hard to say without getting down wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey.
Don't quote Dr. Who on me.
I'm quoting Dr. Who.
If Martin Luther King never delivered a speech, you can't exactly be certain where it comes to alternate realities, but chances are the legislations would have never been signed. Back in 1864, where the Civil War ended and slavery was finally outlawed, that was pretty much it for the next slightly less than 100 years, and all that happened was that you could no longer objectify a black person. You couldn't claim one. And don't get me wrong, that was incredible, but it wasn't until the 1950s where MLK things actually started to change. And then in the 1960s where MLK delivered his momentous speech of 250,000 people, and God knows how many more listening over the radio, that is the president after Kennedy's death to sign the legislations giving black people all these different rights. That's all the time I have left. Thank you for your time and your interviews, and I will possibly see you soon.